don't forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack making backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the Vato speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby Maine. Just caught a touchdown from the Bay.
Yesterday morning, about 10:30, a student from Kingsborough Community College saw a body washed ashore in Sheepshead Bay. Notified the fire department, who notified the police department. We responded. Right now, we're seeking to identify that person. We're investigating as a homicide. This individual was wrapped in black plastic bags, and his arms were tied behind him, and his feet were submerged in poured concrete. Obviously, a homicide. So we're going forward with that now. He does have some substantial tattooing on his back. It is an image of the Virgin Mary with a rose.
Feet submerged in concrete, hands bound. The chilling discovery made just off these waters has this community hoping for answers. Right now, the NYPD's biggest question: just who is their victim? These murky waters hold a dark secret. That's the talk on and off campus here at Kingsborough College.
It's a little crazy, especially in this area, for something like that to happen, right near college campus and everything. It's crazy.
Daniel D'Angelo heard about the lifeless body in a bag discovered by a student in these waters near campus. D'Angelo is a former student who knows the shoreline well. How would you describe that area?
When people are on their breaks, they go there, they sit down over there, take lunch over there.
What Daniel didn't know: gruesome details just released by police.
This individual was wrapped in black plastic bags, and his arms were tied behind him, and his feet were submerged in poured concrete. Obviously a homicide.
I just couldn't believe it. Just couldn't believe it.
He does have some substantial tattooing on his back. It is an image of the Virgin Mary with a rose.
That distinct tattoo on the back of a man found with his hands tied and feet in cement is the strongest lead trying to identify the victim.
It's important, yeah. It's important. You never know what could happen. You don't know where it washed up from, you know?
If you have any information about this crime or about the victim, you're asked to call the NYPD immediately. A reward is being offered, and you can remain anonymous. In Sheepshead Bay, I'm Mark Santia, News 4 New York.
A day later, we now know the identity of the likely tortured corpse and the criminal history tied to Peter Martinez. According to officials, Martinez had been arrested 31 times with a rap sheet that included identity theft. Now, former gang member David says this is heartbreaking because the pattern that he saw with Martinez is exactly the pattern that he's trying to break, so things like this don't happen.
Usually when a lot of money is owed, whether it's, drug related, I don't know for a fact, but putting one and one together, maybe so. And from what I also learned, that he was also formerly incarcerated.
Now, sources say that Martinez owed large sums of money to nefarious characters, but is that enough to lead to such a dark end of his life?
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb. We on our way to NYC with it. Headshot City. Y'all meet us by Kingsborough College. Shit gonna get gruesome. Now, today we are going to be covering a guy by the name of Peter Martinez, but the media will go on to coin him Petey Gunz, and this is Mobb ties, so you know we got to cover this shit. Now, back in 2016, a body would go on to wash up in a section of Brooklyn called Manhattan Beach. The body would go identified for several days, and then through the course of DNA and matching tattoos from the unidentified individual and a missing gentleman by the name of Peter Martinez. Now, after verifying the identity, the authorities would go on to say that Peter Martinez was a Bobby Smurder linked G-Stone Crip or an affiliate. At the time of his death, New York Police Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce would go to say that he was wrapped in plastic bags and his arms and feet were submerged in concrete. Now, to be more specific, they're going to say that they found him wrapped in plastic bags with duct tape over his face, and he was submerged in over 100 pounds of cement that pretty much was bolted to his feet. Now, the problem that they had, because he eventually washed ashore, was they said that the people that committed this act did not wait for the cement to dry, and that put air pockets inside of the cement, which led to him floating up. Now, after they determined who the person was and determined the cause of death, they would dig further into his history. And that's where they will find that he had been arrested upwards of 31 times. In just 5 years prior to his death, he was given a 2-year sentence in 2011 after he was convicted on ID theft charges. Now, his girlfriend, who was pregnant at the time, would say that he would go to owe certain people who she did not prefer to mention a large sum of money. And I don't got to say anybody watching Mobb Ties, but anybody that know anything about the streets know that a large sum of money definitely could lead to you being missing. And that's the crazy thing, because what's a large sum of money? Was it $800? Was it $80,000? So that is kind of unknown as far as the amount of money. But what is kind of widely known and definitely thought that it had to be a substantial amount of money, because people just don't float up. Even though, like, the mafia talks about things like Colombian neckties and giving people cement shoes. Well, I guess they're professionals, so if they give you cement shoes, you're not going to be found. But it's like the last time, just during the course of looking at this episode, made me like, damn, how often is a person found with cement shoes just floating around in the United States anywhere? And the last case that I researched that involved anything similar to this was going to be where a guy by the name of Ernest the Hawk Rapullo's body was found anchored by concrete blocks in 1964, and that was in Jamaica's Bay, and he ended up being fished out of there. So it's not like he even floated to shore or anything like this. So with that being said, this definitely makes me think that this case was probably not performed by professionals, but definitely by some people that did not want Mr. Martinez to be ever found again. Now, I did see some more information where he wasn't directly affiliated with GS9. He was like part of a subset. And at the time in 2016, it was a really big deal because Bobby Shmurda and Roddy Rebel and them was going through what they were going through with the federal government. So this happened, and out of nowhere, kind of, the media is going to do everything they can to tie it in. But I wanted to wait to try to see what would be the outcome, if it was any results. The survey says none. As of 2022, this murder is still unsolved. But this is something that I felt like we definitely had to cover. I usually try to give it a little bit of time, but I don't think it's looking good. But y'all know what it is with me, man. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, POP_A_LOT. We're going to be back with some more real Trill Spill shit. And y'all make sure y'all hit the subscribe right under this video so y'all know when this real Trill Spill shit is dropping. Y'all get in the comment box below. Let me know where we need to go, what cities we didn't hit, what topics we hadn't discussed. And y'all know what it is, man. Y'all get at me. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb, Mobb, Mobb.